welcome to the episode of Black Marriage Chronicles. It's funny now. I am Antonio here. It is our goal to revive, restore, reunite, and ignite existing marriages. And for those who are thinking about getting married, to give you a template through the shared experiences of our guests who come on our show and share their experience. So we want to thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. And my co-host and relationship therapist, Gricelda Ramsey, I'll go ahead and let you plug yourself.
Absolutely. I am Gricelda Ramsey. I'm a licensed counselor of 20 years, and one of my passions is marriage counseling or couples counseling, and I do quite a bit of it. And so I'm happy to join this podcast or this YouTube cast to just share in my expertise as well as hear from the couples what they have to say weekly about being together, being the challenges of marriage or the overcomers who have overcome some things in their relationship, that to help the other couples, like you said, that are thinking about getting married or going through some things that they are currently going through right now. I own Life Changing Therapeutic Services, which is a virtual practice. It's a private practice. And I've been doing this a very, very long time. So
yes, she has. And I have to tell you, folks, she is good at what she does. I absolutely love her. She's, on a personal note, she's also a client of mine. I also want to say I consider her as a friend as well.
Absolutely.
When she came into my studio, she was referred to me by someone else. And when she came in and she told me what she did, I was like, you know what? I got to get this thing started. So we've been pretty much on this journey together since, I want to say since the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's about the beginning of the year. Yeah, so we're almost close to 50 videos in, 50 couples in.
God.
So it's been
awesome.
It's awesome. Yep. So I'm really happy about it. So it's been a great journey. Like she said, every time we talk to couples, we learn something. She learned something. I learned something. And just to make sure I'm clear, she's not on here in the capacity of what her talents are. She really is just here to listen and provide feedback for the people who are watching, to kind of just break down what the couples are saying, or also and sometimes the couples, when she gives her feedback, the couples learn something about themselves or the situations that they were in. But she's not here in an official capacity to counsel anybody, but just to provide her professional opinion on what's going on when the couples share their story. So with that, we'll get into it. So unfortunately, it's looking like our guest is delayed, but we're gonna keep it moving anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So remember, I told you, I don't know if I had a chance to talk to you about it. I have also this other show. It's called Let's Argue, where we talk about hot button topics, and it's pretty much related to Black Marriage Chronicles in the sense that we talk about situational things that happen in marriages. Mm-hmm. Like one of the shows I brought up, and I want to get your feedback on this. It was sex versus an apology. If you are due an apology, would you prefer to have sex instead? So, and I think women do this more often than men, but I could be wrong. Because women swear they're never wrong. But so instead of apologizing, they'll, let me say, it was a meme that was put up, and it said, women will get naked and let you decide if you're still mad or not. So they'll just get in bed and get naked and let you decide if you're still mad or not, instead of apologizing. Me, I want my apology, and we can still have sex, but I need my apology first. For real, yeah. You gonna apologize, and I need a complete "I'm sorry, I was wrong," something along those lines. You just ain't gonna offer up the booty and think I'm gonna be okay. No, it don't work that way. So yeah, and it was a guy who was like, "Oh man, yeah, you would take the sex." I was like, "No." I said, "That's the reason." And this is just my opinion. Women always attribute that men, like when women say, "It ain't that I don't trust you, I don't trust her." Well, no, you don't trust me. And I think the reason women say that, because if you can manipulate me, you being my wife, if you can manipulate me with sex, what makes you think somebody else can? Because you figure
that's true.
That's just my opinion on it. I feel like, so when women say, "Oh, it's not that I don't trust you, I don't trust her." No, you don't trust me, because I should be able to be strong enough to resist those temptations. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why I say I make it a point, and not that it happens a lot in my own relationship. I'm just saying, I just feel like we need, if we need to hold, and that goes for men and women, hold each other accountable. Sex shouldn't be the apology.
No, it should not.
It should
I
not
agree
be
with
the
you.
apology. But I do want to get your opinion on the subject.
I agree with that. Because if you're wrong, you should apologize. And that's the reason why I end up seeing couples is because they never resolve anything. And
Mm,
if at the end of the day your marriage is just driven by sex, then you don't have a really real relationship.
okay.
It's just the physical contact that drives us apart. What about when somebody gets hurt or when you can't have sex anymore? Then what do you have
Hmm.
left if you
Yeah.
don't enjoy each other or you're not able to have a sustainable relationship outside of sex?
Okay.
So sex should not be the apology. It should lead to the apology, maybe, but
Hmm.
it definitely should not be the apology. And
Okay.
that's for women. And it's funny when you started talking about this. I assumed that it was the men who were, hey, I'll give you sex instead of apologizing. But you make a great point. Just so women don't have to admit to them being wrong, because we are wrong sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Where your husband at? Let me talk to him.
we'll throw our bodies, because women do manipulate their men. I said that to a group of men, but a woman who has good intentions use her woes or her wiles of manipulation in a good way, as
Okay.
opposed to a woman who has malicious intent.
Okay.
She's manipulative in a whole nother way, and that's just to get her way or to.
That's damaging to the relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But as women, we do manipulate.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong with that. We do manipulate as women.
Okay.
We figure out a way to get you to, be on the same page that we
right.
want you to be on.
Yeah. I think men do as well. I want to attribute that all to women. I think we is when you don't do it with ill intent or with malice. I think it's okay. And what's funny is when you, as the partner, recognize, like, I know you only doing this because you want something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know you only doing this because you want something. Why you rubbing my feet? Why you doing this? You want something. So yeah, I think we at both parts. But to me, that's where the fun comes in. That when you recognize that your partner is doing this, and again, it's not with malicious intent or anything like that. But that's the fun part. And I think you get to a point in your relationship, in your marriage, where it's okay to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, yeah, I think it's okay to do that. Now, you mentioned you counsel couples. Do you get a lot of couples that come in for that? And when they come in, is it the men or the women?
Generally, the women call me. I always have this running thing that if the man calls me, it's because the woman is on her way out the door.
Okay.
She has said to him a year or 2 years that we need counseling. He's denied that they need counseling. And when he calls me, it has only one guy called me for preventative measures. I think only 1 or 2 guys. But most of the men that call me for therapy is because she's on her way out the door.
Oh, wow.
But mostly women call me. I am getting more men that call just for preventative measures or because they're not on the same page, which I welcome that. That they're recognizing that, hey, we're not on the same page and we need to be on the same page.
Okay.
And I am getting more men. I had one man who had. The funny thing is that I'm getting more divorced couples that are trying to get back together. Now that's funny to me. But
hey, you need to tell them to come to the show. We're trying to revive, reunite marriages. So tell them to come to the show.
Absolutely. But one guy had bought a house and everything just to try. The woman was a pushover. So as she had time to be alone, she found herself. And by the time that they came to therapy with me, I had to turn them away because she's not ready to move forward. And he was even emailing me to make her take him back. And I was like, that's not what I do.
Right.
I don't make anybody take anybody back. I counsel couples who are ready to move forward. We need to be on the same page with the goals here. And we were not clearly on the same page.
Okay.
So that was funny. I mean, it was funny in a sense of, is this guy really sending me an email to make her take him back? But anyway, but I do get a lot of couples weekly that come to couples or marriage counseling, which I welcome that.
Okay.
That has been my, surprisingly, that has been my bread and butter.
Okay.
And I,
so your bread and butter has been couples that are already either separated or divorced, trying to get back together.
No, couples, period.
Just period.
just
Okay.
couples counseling and marriage counseling, period.
Got you.
And I a lot of therapists will not do couples therapy because there's a lot of drama. Generally, there's a lot of drama, but for me, I don't really have a lot of drama. I've
Mm-hmm.
had some couples with drama, but not for the most part. In my years of full-time practice, even when I was doing therapy part-time, I don't get a lot of couples with a lot of drama. Just
Okay.
a lot of communication issues, mostly some cheating issues, that which is a big thing. Communication is
Mm-hmm.
a big thing.
Okay.
But for the most part, I definitely I have a lot more drama with family therapy than I do couples therapy.
I imagine I imagine with family there because you got so many different dynamics. That's a lot of moving pieces.
Absolutely,
That's a
absolutely.
lot of moving pieces.
So when I get families that want to do therapy, I'm like, I cringe a little
You
bit.
cringe a little.
Just who on the just depending on who the
You're
family
like,
is.
Lord Jesus, take the wheel.
But when I get couples, I welcome them with open arms.
Okay,
Open
that's
arms.
good. That's good. So just stay on this subject a little bit. So when you get couples that come in, like, so the subject is sex versus an apology. When that happens, is it are you able to identify like that they're using the physical part as a manipulation instead of coming forward being fully offering full contrition about, hey, like you said, they're not actually resolving the issue
Yeah,
because, okay, we didn't have sex and we think we didn't, no, that hasn't resolved it. I mean, are you able to help them identify that's what's going on?
yeah. But the biggest thing is about being accountable. And
Okay.
if we're not accountable to one another, whether we are right or wrong, good or bad, then
Hmm.
we're not being honest in a relationship. And that's
Okay.
the ultimate problem, is that most men like to sweep stuff under the rug, or when they get up the next day, they're over it. Women generally hold on to things longer.
Yes.
And I had to teach myself that I would not talk to my husband for 2 or 3 days,
Uh-huh.
in our marriage. Then I had to realize that, you know, why am I really mad?
Hmm.
So, the next morning he would get up, hey baby. I'm like, hey baby, do you remember what we argued about yesterday? You
Uh-huh.
know, and I would not talk. And he's like, and on it by the, and it would usually be 2 days, but sometimes three. And he
Okay.
would be like, okay, come on now, you being ridiculous.
Right, right. And
And
that's a lot of, and remember the couple I think we talked to, and he said he had to tell his wife, like, he said it's okay if you be mad. The Max,
okay,
Will and Shanae. And remember he
okay,
told his wife, he was like, yeah, it's okay if you be mad, but look how much time we didn't waste it when you being mad for 2 and 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of time. And she's like, and it made sense, so I totally understand that. So totally understand that.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah, yeah. You have
yeah,
to, yeah. You got to learn to, like. I think every couple that we didn't talk to on here, like that whole part about not going to bed angry. Uh, no, no. You
my
gonna go
husband
to
take that to heart. Like, he gets up the next morning and he won't admit that he's mad. Like, very few times he tries to. Well, I won't say he tried to, but he brings God into his mind in the
Mhm.
situation. Where God has been so good to him, but it's okay. Even in the Bible, it says, "Anger, but sin not."
Yeah.
So it's okay that you're mad at me for whatever I said or whatever I did, because I
Hmm.
can be a tall drink of water sometimes. I say, and I mean what I say.
Right.
And I always get on him about that. Say what you mean and mean what you say. I get on
Yeah.
him a lot about that.
Okay.
But we, at the end of the day, we have to be accountable to one
Okay.
another, because and even now I've had couples who have had sexual trauma,
Okay.
that have had problems with either intimacy or sex. And
Okay.
sometimes, I have to get to the bottom of that,
Hmm.
where the couples have got together and they haven't really resolved the sexual trauma part or
Hmm.
the physical trauma part that they've had in their lifestyle growing up as children, or even young adults, that they've had. Sometimes I have to address that and bring that to their attention.
Hmm.
And we don't have, at the end of the day, we don't have a lot of license. We don't have any Black licensed therapists in sex therapists in Michigan,
Okay.
which is why I was thinking about getting my license, because there's a whole gamut of sexual stuff, that intimacy and all of that really takes an intricate arm, as opposed, just more so than therapy. Like, you're spending time on this part. There are lots of Black therapists in Atlanta, or there are lots of Black sex therapists in other states, but not in Michigan.
Oh.
I think I found one
Mm-hmm.
licensed sex therapist or two, but the rest of them were Caucasian, which,
Okay.
it's okay.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people want to see people like them,
Yeah. Yeah.
deal with the things that they deal with.
Right. And the thing is, I think with that comes breaking through that barrier. It's okay to talk about it happens, because remember, not too long ago, like, now you're right, we're seeing a lot of Black relationship therapists in the field. But
Mm-hmm.
before, like, no, you just you dealt with your problem.
Yeah.
It is the thing. It's a whole vibe, a whole bop now to, hey, I'm doing self-care. I'm talking to somebody. Where before it was looked upon, you seeing a therapist, you crazy? Something wrong with you?
Yes. And
Yeah, remember that was in our
crazy.
community. That's how it was preached. Like, what you see, need to talk to somebody for. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You go pray to Jesus and that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but yeah. And I think in order to have Black sex therapists for men, I think especially for men, because who wants to admit that they're not able to perform? Something's going on. Something's blocking you to perform. Or what woman wants to admit that there's something going on? Because I was watching this show, my wife was watching it, and it was I want to say it was called 60 Days. Oh God, I think it was on HBO.
In jail?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm not 60 Days. I'm conflating something, but it was something where this lady was doing a relationship, and the woman was unable to have an orgasm, but that's because she was dealing with some type of sexual trauma. She
Okay.
wasn't able to reach orgasm for whatever reason, but the therapist had to help her unlock that and get through that. But I think, but to my point, what I was trying to get at is that in the Black community, we've had so many stereotypes, so many things that have been looked at negatively that you like, okay, no, we don't talk about that in our community. But there's so many things that we have to talk about as a community in order to move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that as a man, I don't know how comfortable I would be if there was something that I wasn't, sit down and talk to a therapist. I think that I would, but I'm just speaking in general, that if something was going on with me and I wasn't able to perform, like, hey, let's talk to somebody that's trying to get it out. Not that I can't do it, but something's preventing me from doing it, especially if you got clear by the doctor, there's nothing's wrong. What's going on? We get to this point and we're not able to perform. And I know sometimes men with us sometimes we can get in our head. We get in our head, and then just everything stop. The plumbing just don't work at that point. You like,
Yeah, and first you do need to rule out everything medical.
Yes.
Sometimes with men at a certain age is medical.
Yeah.
But sometimes,
especially if you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah.
You're right. It's in your head that you cannot put the reasons why you can't put, and it's not easy for a man to admit that.
No, not at all.
Nor a woman. To be honest, it's not easy for a woman to admit that she feels less attractive or that she's had sexual issues or sexual trauma.
Yeah.
And at some point, women really don't care. I won't say that we don't care about sex, but that's not at the forefront of our mind. Like, especially if you have children, or you're an entrepreneur, or you have work, you're tired, especially when you have the work full-time out of the house and the household duties, they're tired. And so they're not thinking about sex in the way that a man might think about sex.
Well, okay, tell me understand if this is true or not, because I've heard this, that women don't hit their sexual stride until like 40. We peak out at 18, 19, 21.
Generally, that's true.
Okay.
However, there's no 100% science to to everything. My husband is almost 60, and if he could do it every day, he would.
Go, Nick, go! Hey!
My godparents, she's 90 now. Her husband's been deceased about 6 or 7 years, but when he was in his 90s, like, he was still, and
I want to know whatever he's taking, because that's me. Listen, let's go time. It's go time. Yeah.
My husband was like, that's his hero.
Yeah. Yeah. So the message is, men, if you're listening to this conversation, hey, rule out everything medical first, and then, it might just be here. And then the thing is that when you're married or in a relationship, you gotta choose your words wisely, because your and my wife pointed this out to me. Your partner is really a reflection of you. I mean, it's like a mirror. They
Mhm.
can tell you it's like looking in the mirror and you can see your flaws or the things that you don't like
Mhm.
about yourself. You're like, dang. And sometimes when that's voiced to you, you might take it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? So it's
That's
got
in
you
a
got
lot of relationships. A lot of
yeah.
people, when it's people that's close to you and they know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
they start to point out things or flaws that you have. It becomes I called it something the other day, like the truth, something that people really respond to.
Okay.
That truth part of what people really respond to and for men, like I've said in the past, that they have three responses generally, and
Okay.
one of them is anger, and anger covers the multitude of what they're really feeling, that they're not
Mm-hmm.
able to either say or scared to say or haven't been received well by people in their
Mm-hmm.
life, including their partners, and it hasn't been received well because they don't know how to say it, or they don't say it, or they
Okay.
haven't said it. um they generally have those three responses, and anger covers all of the I feel rejected, I feel abandoned, I feel like I'm not performing to you as well as for
Mm-hmm.
women. We just want to be treated and treated well and protected well. We care about sex because it is
Mm-hmm.
important to us, but we don't care about sex. If
Got
you're
you.
able to perform every night like you used to, I understand that.
Right.
I get that. but
Right.
but if you can't perform at all ever, then we need to have a
The
different
conversation.
conversation. And for women, sex for us, especially after a certain age, it starts before we get to the bedroom. Like,
Yes.
I get turned on if I see my husband cooking, or if I see him doing the dishes, or I see him
Right.
fixing something around the house.
Yeah.
I get that turns me
That get
on.
your juices going.
Absolutely. But as far because for us it starts in the mind first.
Yes, yes.
It starts
I
in the
totally
mind.
agree with that. Yeah. Now what about men who have like, so for example, you got couples who have been together and the wife has a hard time articulating or communicating to her husband about her needs and she wants to introduce toys. And then they come to counsel. Do you have couples who be like men, like, nah, why she got to bring that into the bedroom?
I
Like,
don't have a lot of couples with that issue. Either they haven't felt comfortable talk about it, or she hasn't introduced the toys. I don't have I've had some couples that have had sexual issues. Most of the time it's communication issues or
okay,
infidelity issues.
okay,
Very seldom is it sex issues, but that does happen.
okay,
The sex issues may lead to the fact that he or she has been had infidelity in the relationship, and I don't trust you.
yeah,
And that has caused sexual issues.
mm-hmm,
But for the most part, toys are okay as long as you are using them together or separately. At some point, sometimes women start to get really dry.
mm-hmm,
As they age, they start
yeah,
to lose that moisture
yeah,
level. And sometimes sex toys can stimulate that. I remember
yeah,
a doctor telling me that, like a younger doctor telling me to get a toy, some kind of
yeah,
stimulation or
yeah.
whatever. A younger doctor told me that before.
So,
So
so on that, this is what I want to ask. So on that subject, when women go through menopause, um, premenopausal or postmenopausal, and that's some of the side effects, vaginal dryness and stuff like
mhm.
that. Do are now because of course as men, if we're experiencing any kind of ED, that could be tough. You know what I'm saying? That's at our ego. So is that the same for women? Like, do they experience that ego? Like, oh my God, the juice is not like they used to be, and then which may prevent her from wanting to have sex, which now leads to a whole nother problem.
It goes back to what I said about accountability and having open communication.
Okay.
Because if you don't have that open communication, you're not even being open with your doctor, you're not being open with each other, you just are not talking about it, in some form of another, and you're not talking about it, it can cause a problem. If
Mm-hmm.
you're having problems where you're drier than you used to be, first you need to talk to your doctor, like I said, about the man, rule
Rule
out
out the
everything,
medical.
the medical part. And it could be that she's perimenopausal or postmenopausal or going through menopause.
Okay.
That or age.
Yeah.
Hormonally, women just change hormonally after they have kids. It could be just simply that.
Okay.
So it's worth you having a conversation about it instead of you know not talking about it all at all. Even for the men, you know, having ED or whatever the case may be, she may be able to help you get aroused, or she may,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, or she may be able to talk to you about going to the doctor,
Yeah.
and whereas opposed you have been embarrassed to go to the doctor, but you're not performing, so you allow the anger to keep her at bay.
Or the embarrassment, and then it ends
You
up
are
turning into
embarrassed.
anger.
You are
Yeah.
embarrassed, but you use the anger to keep her at bay.
Got you. Okay.
Yes, you
Got
are
you. Got you.
embarrassed. You do
Yeah.
feel ashamed. You do feel a certain kind of way. You feel less than a man, but you allow the anger to cover all of that to keep her at bay.
What is the advice you give couples? Let's say, for example, you guys are in, y'all about to get into it, and things getting hot and heavy, and you're about to go in, and this is for both men and women. So he starts experiencing some form of ED, or during the sex, the wife is not as lubricated as she normally do. At what point should the conversation be had? Right then and there, or do we talk about it later?
Well, it depends. Do we have to stop because you are dry or you've fallen
Yeah,
short? Then
yeah.
you need to have a conversation then.
Okay.
You
Why?
know,
Why should you have the conversation right then and there?
because not in you still need to consider each other's feelings,
Okay.
because sometimes out of frustration we can respond, be like, oh God, I'm not satisfied, or whatever the case may be, out of frustration.
Okay.
And now in those cases you should wait because you're frustrated.
Okay.
And it just depends on the relationship though, but
Okay.
sometimes it's okay to talk about it right then, and sometimes you have to wait until it comes up, or the next time that you get ready to have sex and it comes up.
Hmm.
But if you're really close and you're close to your person, you have open communication, you could talk about it right then.
How do you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking about if. How do you establish that communication? Like, what do you do in order to establish that communication so it won't be an issue where, um, so that you can have those conversations in the moments. Like, so for example, if you experiencing some type of ED, or she's experiencing some type of vaginal dryness, how do you get to that point where you're able to have a conversation with your spouse, like, hey, is everything okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? What are the steps one should take in order to get to that point?
Communication starts before you get to the bedroom. So
True.
if you're not open before then, and you wait to that moment, it is going to be awkward to talk about. But
Okay.
if you've been open the whole time about everything, the whole if your spouse is your best friend kind of
Hmm.
thing, you talk about everything together. Then at that moment you won't be in you might be embarrassed, but you won't be afraid to talk about it, so to speak.
Gotcha.
You still want to tread lightly because you don't want to hurt them, or
Right.
hurt him or hurt her.
Right.
You know, but at the same time, if you open anyway, then you can talk about it.
Okay. Okay.
It's not going to be an easy conversation, because that one person is feeling a certain kind of way, but
Yeah.
it's still a conversation that you are very comfortable having because you have had an open relationship.
Yeah. 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 I know. Like, I think it's important that, because I think when you get to a certain level in your relationship, especially like you pointed out, that you're able to talk to one another, certain things you can kind of laugh about. You know what I'm saying? You embarrassed, but you can kind of laugh at each other about, and like, okay, yeah, that didn't quite go so well, because yeah. So I totally get it and understand it, because there have been times me and my wife, and she probably gonna kill me for saying this, but there have been times I've been like, oh babe, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get you the next time. I was just, I was in the room. She was like,
Absolutely.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But we able to laugh about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
yeah, okay, my bad. I was like, I just needed to get that one off. And she like, okay, but and then we didn't talk afterwards, like, just don't make it a habit. And I get it. I totally understand, but there have been times that it happened. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah. Every time she didn't got to the finish line before I have, which is not often. Normally it's normally me, but but I get it. But she didn't, but we didn't had the conversation like, hey, as long as you don't make it a habit and you remember me, that I'm still here, I still need to be pleased, we good. And I totally get it, and I understand that.
But I think even, let your wife know that we helping somebody, even though she might not appreciate you talking about it, but we helping somebody,
Yeah. So,
our transparency and our honesty.
Right. Just being able to have those conversations. Like, I can honestly tell you, I wouldn't have never admitted that. You know what I'm saying? Some years ago, like, no, I ain't admitting that. But I mean, it happens. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It happens. It does happen.
yeah, you know what I'm
And
saying?
even with the women with the dry, get you some lubricant. Keep it with you. You
Right.
know,
And keep it moving. Like,
and keep it
yeah,
moving.
yeah,
Keep that lubricant around and keep it with you. I mean, make
right,
sure you using healthy products.
right,
You know, it's
exactly.
all everything is not created equal.
Right.
But still, you keep it with you and keep it moving.
Right, right. For women out there experiencing that, because I know that can lead to some embarrassment. And I know for as for men, you if that happens, you probably don't want to say anything. Like you don't want to, you. And again, and for women too, like you don't want to say anything to further cause the embarrassment to your spouse if something like that happens. You know what I'm saying? So I understand. Is like it's a it could be a touchy situation. It really can. You gotta tread lightly because, like you said, you don't want to cause further embarrassment to your spouse about it or anything like that. Yeah, so I totally get it and totally understand. But definitely for anybody that's listening, if those are things, issues that you're having, seek medical advice first. Make sure you're ruling that out, and that should be still a conversation that you should have with
Absolutely.
your spouse. All right. Yeah, you should
Absolutely.
still have that.
You should have open communication, period. Whether it's medical, whether it's financial, whether it's sexual, whatever, that you should be able to have open communication. And I know all couples don't have that,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. For whatever reason, it could be, like I said, it could be childhood issues. It could be the men in our family don't talk, we just do. It could be whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But you should have open communication. I think maturity will, and your closeness to that person that you have in your life will allow you to be open with them.
Yeah.
And we already know that we have an issue with dryness. We gonna prepare for that. We gonna
Right.
always be prepared for that. It's
Right.
not gonna be a time where, oh my Lord, we're getting in the middle of something and we don't have our stuff with us. It's never
Right.
gonna be that time.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we have an issue with ED, hey, pop your little one of them little pills. If whatever the case may be, we're never gonna be without them.
Right.
And
Right.
so
And for the record, at least this is something I I don't have an issue with ED, but they say that instead of popping those pills, that you need to take use the watermelon wine. Right. It's like a
my husband
natural
has some in the
Viagra.
freezer, in the
Yeah.
refrigerator right now.
Listen. I don't have an issue, but I take it regularly just so I don't ever have an issue. And I pretty much feel like that doesn't work. It doesn't. I haven't been affected by that only because I take good care of myself. You know what I'm saying? I work out constantly. So I'm good there. But when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. Let me.
I was gonna bring that up. He just heard, I think a few weeks ago, he heard about the watermelon, so he keeps them in the
Yeah, listen, I keep it. I ain't gonna say what my wife calls it, but yeah, I keep it on hand. You know what I'm saying? And every morning with my aloe vera juice, because I got digestive issues. Well, I used to. I don't claim that no more. But I just put it in there and scrounge it up, and I take it. You know what I'm saying? Just so when I'm ready, I'm nice and ready, and that's part of the reason, low key, that I kind of became a vegan. I was watching this show called Game Changers, and one of the benefits of becoming a vegan was they were saying they did a test study on younger men at this. They had harder, much longer erections for the men who ate vegetarian diets versus the men who had meat.
Okay.
I said, told my wife, I'm done. That was that. I ain't even got to watch no more. I'm good. Let's go. We doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my Lord, absolutely.
But
I get that.
Yeah.
Because
So
they say it can be heavy and weigh you down, and so I'm a meat eater. However, I think I started a few years ago, I think I born out of one of those fasting moments.
Okay.
Have a vegetarian day or two. So I'm able to enjoy that now. As before, I could never enjoy it. Like I would, in my mind, I would tell myself that I would never not have meat.
Yeah.
But meat can make you heavy and weighed down.
And
it's
harder to digest after a while and a breakdown and stuff like that. Yeah. And then, my wife was saying it made her menstruals less painful. You know what I'm saying? Like she was like it, and once we went through it, she wasn't her periods weren't as heavy or as painful. So she was like she swore by it too. So it was just it was good because we were able to do it together. You know what I'm
That,
saying? That was the
that,
big thing. I was gonna do it no matter what, but we came along and she jumped on board. Which was like, what the heck? And at Juneteenth, we had some ribs. We had some baby back ribs. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, y'all eat meat, y'all gonna be sick." We looked at them, was like, "No, we're fine." We both had maybe about 2-3 bones apiece. Fine, and that was it. And we ain't had no meat since then. Like we didn't
okay,
miss it.
good.
It was.
Yeah, I
Don't
remember
get
you
me
telling me
wrong.
about that.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It was good, but we wasn't like we was about to fall off the wagon. We had it, and
Absolutely.
that was it. You know, and
And
we
you
do
know,
that once a year.
and Tabitha Brown, the reason why she got on TikTok was her daughter was encouraging her to share her story. She was sick for about a month or 2 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And people in her family were dying at a young age. And when
Uh-huh.
she stopped eating meat for 30 days, she
Mm-hmm.
became a vegan for 30 days. She started, within 2 weeks, she started to feel better. The
Yep.
headaches went away.
Yep.
So
I
she
remember.
swears by the
Yeah.
vegan lifestyle. And she makes
Yes.
it, and she does make it look good. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
her
Yeah.
recipe.
Yeah. I follow her and her husband Chance. Yeah. She you can't help. She's what's the word I'm looking for? She has a natural, like you can't help but to listen to her. Like she has a natural attraction. Like she's addicted. I guess it's a word, for lack of a better word, addictive. When you watch her, I'm like, you can't help but do it. And she has such a beautiful smile. I was telling my wife, she got perfect teeth.
Yeah, and she, you know what, the young people started picking her up, the young adults. They were saying she was the mother of the young adults
Okay.
because of the way she talks.
Uh-huh.
And it was primarily because of the way she talks.
Yeah.
She's real, she's soft spoken.
Uh-huh.
Even when she checked Wendy Williams, did you read that letter that
No,
she
no,
wrote?
no, no.
Oh my God, she was so tactful.
Uh-huh.
But if she won't try it again, Wendy Williams won't try it again. But she was so, it was just so just intricate. If you can find it online,
Okay.
the way she checked her about her, you know, she's complimenting and checking her at the same time.
So
You
what
know,
did Wendy Williams, why was Wendy Williams coming for? What happened?
I don't remember what it was about, but
I'm
I
gonna have
think
to
her,
ask
oh
my
no, you
wife.
know what? I think Wendy Williams was coming for her husband.
Okay.
You know, here you are, your husband been cheating on you for years,
Uh-huh.
and here you are talking about this woman husband because she took her husband. Finally, she retired him off the police force.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
he been supporting her all these years of
Yeah.
trying to be an actress, and she's finally making money and doing things where they can become partners in the business. And she was able to retire him. And I think
From
Wendy Williams was checking
from a
her.
deadly profession, no less, because I believe he was a police officer, wasn't he?
He was an LA police officer
Oh
at that.
wow.
Yeah. So, and you know, they showed a video about her buying her father a truck. You know,
Uh-huh.
he and he didn't want to take it because he was used to provide for his kids, but
Yeah.
she get back to her dad. They had a whole video, but I think that's when Wendy Williams came for her. Made a comment about her retiring her husband. You know, but I was happy for them. You know,
Yeah.
your husband was no longer able to sacrifice himself for the money that they get paid. You know,
Mm-hmm.
for one
Putting
thing,
himself in the line. Yeah.
and for two, they not getting paid enough money to be putting their life on the
On the
line
line.
like
Right.
that. You know, so I was happy for them that she was able to retire him and he was able to join the business and the way that she was able to join the business, you know, and come along with her.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
that's what Wendy Williams came for her for, something about that. But
but
she
isn't that for better? But isn't that for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer? You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, absolutely.
Doesn't that fall in line? Why do we always think that, okay, it should have been the husband's job to retire his wife? No, like if you in a position to retire me and you got good money and like she said, he can make him a part of the business, why not? Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
I hope to be able to do that with my wife. Like, hey, she like to be behind the scenes. You ain't got to work no more.
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
even my husband's business, like the trucking business, our financial planner suggested that I learn his business because if something were to happen to him, I want to keep it going.
Keep it going. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and thankfully the guy that he has that, like I said, he was a trucker himself, an owner operator himself, and then he started driving for my husband. But he has been, as far as the manager role, he has been really taking on that role.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, you know, he's trustworthy and all of that he would keep the trucking going. But I need to know how to run it just in case something happens to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my daughter works with me with my practice, and she can learn what I do.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
My son can learn the business side of what I do, so that I keep the practice going.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, you know what, Griselda, has been a. I'm glad, so glad we stayed on and had this conversation. We keep it moving no
absolutely,
matter what. So I appreciate
absolutely.
the feedback. It was definitely an interesting conversation. I didn't get a chance to talk about the other subject, which was the intimacy, romance, and affection, but that's fine. We definitely covered a lot here in this short time. So I appreciate you coming on. It's really good to see you, my friend. I'm so glad you're doing okay and on the men's as far as health is concerned. And looking forward to seeing you and your husband in the gym soon.
Absolutely.
Yep,
So I'm looking forward to being back. So
yep, yeah. So
I had
the
a little
weekend
bit
of
of
the
weight.
19th, I will be unavailable because we'll be celebrating my our 5th anniversary.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I think yeah, yep. So we'll be celebrating our 5th. So I'll be off the weekend of the 19th. Our anniversary is actually August the 18th. So I'll
Okay.
be my calendar is already blocked off for that time. So if, I won't be
Okay.
there
Good.
that not this coming up week, but the following week.
Good. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
your wife I said happy
I
anniversary in
sure will. Yeah,
advance.
I
So
sure will. I sure will.
hopefully I'll see you next Friday morning.
Okay.
If everything goes well with the. I do feel like I said I feel better, but
Okay.
I do notice that with the right hand it's not moving as fast as it. So we probably have to work around that after I had to
Gotcha.
work around
Yo,
this
well,
right
we'll figure it out. I'll figure
hand.
out something. We'll work around it for sure. But I appreciate you. Thank you, and you have a blessed day. And I'll talk to you. I'll see you next time.
All righty.
All
See
right.
you
Have a
later.
good one. Bye bye. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. How do you disconnect from StreamYard?
I think you just have to end it. I don't know. I don't know how you have to do it on your end.
Right, I don't know. Okay, here's the camera.
Yep, you're still on there.
Yeah, I don't know how to end it from StreamYard. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just guess X
Oh,
out.
you know what? Here, let me remove you. Let me see if I can end it for you. All right, that is another episode of Black Marriage Chronicles. We just had a conversation with the therapist, Miss Griselda Ramsey. She is a licensed relationship therapist, so we appreciate you coming on. If you have any questions or comments, please don't forget to leave those below. Again, here at Black Marriage Chronicle, it is our hope to revive, renew, and reunite and ignite existing marriages, and to give those who are considering getting married tools which to work from the shared experience from our guests. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. If you are an existing um, member of our community, we thank you for returning. I appreciate it. With that, I bid you peace and you have a great day.